Kablamo! We are live with the Roll20 Roundtable for February 6, 2020. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry to speak over you, Winget. I am Soraya. I am the Director of Communications here at Roll20. And with me today is my usual co-host, Kenton, as well as our special guest. Let's have Kenton introduce himself and then our special guest.
Oh, hello. I'm Kenton. I'm the Product Director here at Roll20.
And I'm Winget. I'm a Senior Developer and Team Lead here at Roll20.
Yeah. Winget is, for those of you who have been keeping up on recent releases in Roll20, we just released to the dev server for testing a new feature called the custom sheet sandbox. So you can go and make sheets there. And we'll get into that a little bit in depth later, but Winget is one of the primary people behind that project. So he is here to show off his excellent work. And for those of you who don't know much about it yet, it's a great opportunity to learn about this really cool thing that we've just added. In other news, yesterday we released the Org Group Industry Report for Q4 of 2019. So those are the last 3 months of 2019, and had some really fun results when we looked into a new graph about game growth. So our new graph about game growth shows basically games that have a smaller size player base can increase their size exponentially faster, right? Because if you go from like 1 player to 2 players, then you have doubled your player base size. But nevertheless, it really shows some interesting stuff. For example, our GM in residence, Adam Coble, streamed a game called Ironsworn in mid-November. And at about that same time in mid-November, a bunch of people started picking up Ironsworn on Roll20. So it actually had a 900% growth rate. So that was really fascinating to see. And we're really excited to get into more numbers like that. We retooled the report about a year ago, and it's kind of unlocked us to do some more of this fun number crunchy digging into things. So hopefully more of that. And we also, this was early last month, but if you missed it, we did put out a blog in early 2020 that was talking about what's coming up for Roll20. And I think we're going to put it in chat there. But if you missed it, check out the Roll20 blog. We have a roadmap for the beginning of 2020 and highlights from 2019. Last month, we also released custom token markers, which you now have a token marker library where you can go and upload your own specific token markers. So maybe you want status effects and you want your status effects to look a certain way to match with the aesthetic of your game. You can now go and upload those. And soon they're going to be on the marketplace. Kenton and Winget, do either of you want to talk about getting them on the marketplace?
Sure. We got them on the marketplace.
That's about it.
Well, I'm actually really excited for the sets that we've been seeing come through. I know that the marketplace creators have been very excited for that opportunity, and they've been clamoring for it. And earlier this week, we gave them the access to start putting those sets together. I'm actually really happy with how we ended up making that work in a way that is really good for the user to have a bunch of sets and to put them in their games. And I think it's the token marker feature itself has a lot of room for extendability even from now. Mm-hmm. With custom token markers, there's a bunch of stuff that we wanted to do that we will get to someday.
In chat, we've got, and all caps, fantastic API support.
You're
That's
welcome,
a big
Aaron.
smile.
Yeah.
And thank you, Aaron, for last time you made me, after the roundtable, I mentioned something about wanting a pet dogs API, and the Aaron went and made it, which is fantastic, and I appreciate you very much. We also have the Zoom tool. It is now live again. I know we did that back in November, and there were some functionality issues that caused us to roll it back. We took all of your feedback into account when we released this new version of the Zoom tool, which has a lot of different options for folks that have enjoyed the way the functionality worked up till now, and also the ability for people to change it. So the main one being you can use your scroll wheel on your mouse to either pan or zoom in on the map. And that's the thing that you can change actually at the game level or at the account level. So if you go into your account and check your preferences, you can set it to have a default. I think that's really cool. It seems to have gone over well. I hope you all are enjoying it. We're certainly happy to have had your input and your feedback. That really helped us make that better. We're always trying to, match your expectations and give you good stuff to play with. So on that note, and speaking of things to play with, we have sandboxes. So Winget, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Right.
If you can screen share for me, please, we will show off the custom sheet sandbox.
All right. I want to first go over...
Give me a second. This thing is being wonky on me. Sorry, I thought I had this set up correctly, but it's tricky.
It's fine.
Can somebody do a song and dance whilst I very quickly attempt to fix this?
Who would I look like, Jeff?
I do love me a Jeff.
I was trying to think of a joke, but I can't think of a joke, which is, I think, a joke in and of itself, right? Like maybe not. Maybe it is.
I think you're stretching it there, Kenton.
Yeah.
I'm so embarrassed and self-conscious right now as you all are watching me like struggle with stream management.
We were talking before about the tools we use to stream. How I don't think that they know that they're used to stream, and so they don't build very many features for that kind of thing. I will say, to fill some time and give more information. The Roll20 order report was really interesting to see how the Call of Cthulhu 7th edition has grown over the past 3 months. It's amazing to see it take off, and the number of games and the number of players too who are really excited about the eldritch horror that is available. I thought that was great to see.
That is good. All right, so I've now more or less fixed the sheet. So share away, Winget. There will still be some minor editing going on in the corners for our viewers, but they can now see your screen. Thanks, viewers. Okay. Appreciate you.
Right. I just want to start by going over kind of what the process is now. I'm sure most of the people out there maybe have never tried to make a custom sheet before, and it kind of don't know what the big deal is about having a new tool for this. So this is the old way. I'm just going to go ahead and open up this game in a new tab. All right. I have a test character here to where I can see this is my custom sheet that I've made on this thing. And it's looking good here, but I would really like to maybe try this in a different color. So if I wanted to do that, I'd have to go back over here, go under settings to game settings. Gotta scroll down here, and then here is where I actually edit the HTML and the CSS for my sheet. And if I want to do something easy, like just change the color of this this text here that I have, I'd have to go over here, make the change, click Save Changes. All right, now that's saved. I got to come back over here, and now I have to refresh the whole tabletop and wait for it to load back up and then come back over here and open up my character, and now I can finally see the change that I just did. And that's annoying. That's not a good way to do things, especially considering when you're developing, you're doing this constantly. You're doing a small change. You want to see what effect those changes have, and if you have to wait for the whole tabletop to reload every time, it's a pain. And on top of that, this is fine, but it's not really a very good text editor.
I was going to say, are most character sheets is the code for them that complex, Winget?
This is maybe not exemplary of what a typical character sheet might be. I think there are several thousands of lines of code in the D&D 5e sheet, for example, and I know a big pain of mine when I was trying to edit a big sheet like that in this editor is I'd make a change, I'd hit save, and then it would refresh and I'd be back at line 1 up here. And then I have to scroll down and try to find whatever line number 7,000, whatever that I was working on before, if I wanted to go make another tweak. So this isn't ideal, to say the least.
I think another good point, or another thing to point out, is that the place where you edit code, a lot of times, especially if you're prolific at it, you get it set up just the way you like it, with the right colors and the right commands, and in browser editor is never going to match that. And I think that's one of the places where we really felt like we could improve the experience for anyone making, any pro user who makes a custom sheet, or even takes a sheet from the open source repository, or one of our developed in-house sheets, and just wants to make a couple edits to it, wants to change a couple things and put it in as custom. They have a way that they want to do it. They have the editor set up the way that they want it to, and we can't match all those different options. There are entire companies who multiple companies, publicly traded, lots of market capital there going into making these editors the best way possible. So pulling it out of a browser situation is overall the right move, I think.
And I think most people actually will end up they probably don't want to keep using this in browser editor. So what they end up doing is they have the other text editor open. They have to copy, paste back in here. And if they change the HTML and the CSS, they have to do that twice back and forth in order just to save it once. And that's a pain. So let's look at the new feature. I'm here on the dev server. And if you log on there right now, you'll see a little button here, Custom Sheet Sandbox. And
the new hotness is very good.
So you'll be able to create several of these games. I think most people are only going to have a few because really, who's developing a dozen sheets at a time? But you can have up to 15 games right now. Anyways, let's go into it. This is the new way of doing things. Let's go ahead and open it now. So a couple things right off the bat. You see that there's no invite link when you first join the game. You're used to seeing all that green text up here with
I'm
the
afraid
invite
they
link.
can't see it because my resize wasn't that good. But
Oh.
You'll have to take his word for it, chat. The invite link is not there.
Yeah, so this game is for you to develop a sheet. It's not to actually invite people and play. And there are some technical reasons for that that kind of make it difficult. But the point is, this is just for development purposes.
Mm-hmm. So you can only have one person in, basically.
Yeah, there's only one person in. There's no chat or video tech enabled. This is just for you. And now let's look at one of these character sheets. All right, so here's a character sheet I have here. Now in this case, again, I want to see that in a different color. So now I'm going to go over to my favorite text editor. I'm going to make a change and hit save.
Oh, I'm depriving them of the full view. I must fix it. Keep talking.
And then I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to click the CSS button to upload the CSS. And it instantly changed as soon as I uploaded the file. So it didn't have to wait for it to reload the whole editor. It didn't close all my characters that I had open. It instantly reloaded all of the character sheet and the related sheet workers and everything. So yeah, this is a much faster way to see the changes that you're making.
Mm-hmm.
And in general, I think it's just a better workflow. You're able to more easily use your favorite code editor and not have to deal with going back and forth between a bunch of tabs over here, saving things and refreshing the browser and everything.
Mm-hmm. And
I'll say too that the custom sheets is actually one of the big reasons why people subscribe to a pro account, and that is there's a lot of power within that, but it can also be scary or intimidating to try to get it to work if you can't immediately see those changes and how they interact with the virtual tabletop, or pull information from a compendium, or put a role into chat. And so this is a way to test all of that as well. So even if you've never tried to do a custom sheet before, as a pro user, this is the time to give it a shot, because there's nothing really to lose. There's a lot of great ways to brush up on your HTML, CSS, and impress your friends.
Mm-hmm. I would be very impressed if my friends could do this. So normally we save questions to the end, but I think because we're giving a demo here, I'm going to make an exception. We do have a question from chat. Daddy Warbucks asked, is it possible to alter the existing character sheets, for example, to change the font of the OGL sheet?
So a yes and no. You can easily do this by copying the HTML and CSS of the 5e sheet and putting it in your game as a custom sheet with a few tweaks to it.
Mm-hmm.
All of the sheets are available on our public GitHub repo, so you can easily just go and find the code and copy it and use it and change it to your heart's desire. But you would be doing that as a custom sheet. Typically, especially with our the sheets that we develop in-house, you're not just going to be able to request a change like that and have us, make the entire 5e sheet Comic Sans.
Yeah. So Daddy Warbucks is saying that they have community members that are dyslexic, and being able to use existing sheets with a dyslexic-friendly font would be great. We did also with this, did we mention this already? We also added more fonts with this update, correct?
I think we buried the lead. Yeah. No, we added the ability to use any Google font. That Google Fonts is a service provided by Google to make fonts more accessible on the web. If you've done web development before, you know how difficult fonts can be. And or if you did web development 10 years ago, you know how difficult they can be. Now they're relatively simple with things like Google Fonts. But yeah, you can use the Google service to put in any of their licensed fonts to make your sheets look the way that you want them to with that. another big suggestion from the suggestions and ideas that we were able to lump into this release.
Yeah, it's one of the things I like is when we're going in and touching like an area of the VTT, we can kind of look around ourselves and see like, oh, this thing is close or related to this. Let's see if we can do this at the same time.
I'm actually using a Google font in this example, and you see here is really easy to include it. You just got to get the URL and put it at the top of your CSS, and then use that font anywhere in your CSS.
Mm-hmm. So we're using Jim Nightshade. That's mostly visible on the screen. Again, sorry, I forgot that Zoom forces a full screen when somebody screen shares, so I did not account for that.
Pro users, in the Pro forum, we have some examples of how to import the fonts in the form there, and when in the documentation when it releases in a little over a week, it'll be included in there as well. So
Chad is bringing up an important distinction. The Roll20 code that is on the public repo is no longer updated. So there is some Roll20 code that's on the public repo for what Winget was talking about, where you could go and copy an OGL sheet and make some slight changes to it. Some of that is there. It is going to be an older version of the sheet because we're no longer updating to the public repo. Did I use tech words good? Did I use tech words okay? Let me lower the bar for myself. Did I use tech words okay?
It was completely understandable.
Yes.
I knew exactly what you meant.
Oh my gosh. I've only been working here for 2 years. So those are the custom sheet sandboxes. These are on the dev server right now for testing, and we are looking to release them soon to the live server, where they will be a pro user only feature. So if you are a pro user, you can test them early and you will be able to use them for real pretty soon. But also, if you're not a pro user, I think one of the things that's really important to talk about here is that it really affects all of our users in various ways. A large percentage of our user base does use sheets that are created by our wonderful community creators, many of whom are here in chat. Hello, thank you. These folks are going to have a much easier time editing existing sheets, creating new ones, expanding the number of games available for all of us to play on Roll20 because of this. Our internal team has been testing this for a while and found that their workflow sped up by like 30% working on new sheets, and that's on the more conservative estimate of things. So even if you don't have a pro account yourself and won't be using this feature, it's probably going to benefit you as a user, just because the sheets that you love to use that are community sheets are going to be so much easier for those people to make.
Yeah, I believe some of our internal sheet creators said in the previous version of doing things, they were spending about 15 minutes every hour waiting for their tabletop to reload. So just sitting there waiting for it to reload because they reloaded the tabletop so many times.
Yeah. And to clarify, and I hope I didn't misspeak when I was summarizing that, this tool will not itself become available for free users. What I'm saying is that free users will benefit in that the community sheets that we all use will be easier for the pro users to update.
Yeah, this is a pro subscriber feature, and pro subscribers can have up to 15 custom sheet sandboxes at any given time. So you can develop sheets for 15 individual games or 15 different ways. And I do think, Soraya, that point that is very true. The community is a big part of Roll20, and it always is, and it's something that we think of often. I know I think of it all the time.
Ken goes to bed dreaming of the community.
That's true. I put my laptop under my pillow so that it's always really close to my brain. But the ability, this is a tool to help reciprocate our appreciation to these people who, their hobby might be development, but they don't have to develop for us or for RPGs and to play on Roll20 even. But we really appreciate it, and we're glad that we can give them this tool to help do that.
Absolutely.
And also, like, more directly, Google Fonts will make your sheets look better. Everyone will see the result of that soon.
Yeah, because we can have this. What was this font you used here again?
I
Jim
should
Black
credit them.
Magic.
Jim Nightshade.
Jim Nightshade. I was thinking of the Penny Arcade Dark Magic guy. But yeah, no, that's good. So yeah, I look forward to some beautiful sheets in the near future. And let's end the screen share, shall we? And hopefully Zoom will not screw me up. Ha! It works! We're back to normal! Okay. All right. Kenton, can you walk us through the... Actually, no, never mind. Sorry. I may or may not have accidentally closed my notes about what I wanted to talk about, but I found them again. We're good.
Okay, I was just going to say, you probably wanted to say that this is in beta testing right now on the dev servers. If you're a Pro subscriber, you can access that right now. If you're not, well, no matter if you're a Pro subscriber or not, it'll be on the live servers on February 18th.
Cool. We also, speaking of updates coming soon, we do also have a homepage update coming soon. You can get a little bit of a preview by going to roll20.net/home. We'd love to hear what you all think about it. But yeah, we're working on some changes there. We do want to make sure that it's actually a change that our users like better before we wholly swap over. But if you're feeling it, let us know. And earlier in the chat, I saw with mine eyes. I saw somebody asking about more Call of Cthulhu stuff. And I think that they were saying this in response to Kenton, you bringing up that we did see a huge increase in the growth rate for Call of Cthulhu as well. So I am happy to tell you that we have a Call of Cthulhu live stream coming up on February 15 at 1 p.m. Pacific time. We have a lot of streams going on. We also have the Fate stream that is going on Saturday mornings. Some Roll20 Spotlight creators have been playing the Till Dawn setting on Roll20, which is they're all DJs, if I recall correctly, and it's very fun and very 80s, very full of sparkles. The final episode is actually this Saturday, 2 days from now, at 8 a.m. Pacific time. If you missed session 0 or their first session, they are up on our YouTube and you can catch them there. In other producty news, we do have Starfinder Against the Aeon Throne Part 3 coming next Tuesday. I remember last time we had people asking us for more Starfinder and for the rest of that path. So we gave them Part 2 already. Part 3 is coming out soon. We are so pleased that we can finally start rolling those out at you. So keep an eye out for that. They're going to keep coming, and we're planning to finish up by the end of February. We also released Kids on Bikes today. We released both a compendium and an adventure module, so you can go play the game Kids on Bikes. We actually streamed Kids on Bikes, I think. Oh gosh,
October 5th and 6th of 2018.
Oh, you're right. Oh, that was the best. That was the one where Carlos made the little bike handles.
Mm-hmm.
That was honestly one of my favorite props ever, and I desperately want that to be used in every stream, even if it doesn't make sense for them to be riding bikes. But I was going to refer to, we also did it about 2 years ago. We had a stream of Kids on Bikes. I believe I'm not making this up. That was GM'd by That Bronze Girl. You can find that on our YouTube channel. So we've loved this game for a really long time. It's a fantastic game. If you enjoy Stranger Things and want that same...
Steven Spielberg movies from the 80s.
Yes.
Or just life in general, Kids on Bikes is a great game.
Yeah. You want to be naive and get into trouble. Kids on Bikes is the game for you. And now it is officially on Roll20. And next month, we are going to have, from the D&D side of things, the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, the campaign setting for Critical Role. And that is launching on March 17, but you can actually pre-order it now. So if you want to go get your copy and be ready to go on day 1, go ahead and visit the marketplace. So we're adding a new thing to our little opening here, where I want to show some appreciation to members of our community. This is, after all, the community roundtable. And we have a lot of members of our community who've really stood out, and we wanted to show them a little bit of love. So hoping that I have set it up correctly. I think I did this time. I want to show you some of the packs by some of our marketplace creators that have come out recently or that we just really liked a lot. So, pow! I did one correctly. So this is Animated Objects of Power by Jeff Mahoney. It's got all sorts of cool little animations for, you know, your glass ball that's swarming, a heart that's beating. That's not creepy.
For Valentine's Day.
For Valentine's Day. That's exactly it. I am missing one. Give me a second here and I'll fix that, because the one I'm going to bring up next is from Session 0, who have been putting out gorgeous card decks of magic items for different 5th edition classes. They just released one for clerics, and that is this one right here. So you can see, for example, this preview of one of the cards that you get in the deck. They have absolutely gorgeous art. They really help you kind of spice up your game. They bring in some new stuff for your cleric. Obviously, like I said, they have lots of these, and so it's definitely worth taking a look at. So that's Session 0. Check them out. And then we have Desurion made Year of the Rat, because it is the Year of the Rat now. We just had Lunar New Year, and it is now Year of the Rat, and so in honor of that, Desurion made a bunch of little pixel rats that kind of have that little Final Fantasy jogging in place battle animation going to them. And they're super cute, and there's a bunch of little mice. So, so you can go and check those out. They're so charming. Then we have Stephen Calling with Isle of Lore 2 hex tiles. These tiles are fantastic. If you put that in a map in front of me, I would never realize that it was from a tile set. It's just, they all go together so well. There's such a nice mixture here, and they're just such a great style. Like, definitely check these out. Sorry, by the way, that I'm a little bit ummy and likey today. I'm tired. But okay, so, and then the last one is from Chepeku, the Realm of Dreams D&D battle map. And I previewed this, obviously, when I was setting it up for the stream, and almost wish that I hadn't, because my initial gut reaction to seeing these was, oh, wow. These are so pretty. They are completely up my personal alley in terms of just art that I would stare at for hours, and you can use them to construct a dream realm where, I think as Chepeku puts it, you maybe everything is moving and walking and talking and warping and walking, maybe not. Maybe gravity is real here, maybe not. Maybe the clouds are solid, maybe not. So this is just a really beautiful art pack, and we wanted to bring some attention to it and show it some love, and I guess have me drool over it on stream. We also wanted to call out a couple members of our community who have been contributing by translating things on the site. So in the year 2019, we had 6 people who were the top translators. They translated a huge amount of stuff into different language. I am going to get some of these names wrong, and I'm sorry. But we have Divam, who has been translating things into French and English. So things that were not in English previously, like certain character sheets, have been translated into English by Divam. Philip Hoffman has been translating things into German. Wallace McGregor has been translating into Spanish. Lorenzo Valetti has been translating into Italian and Spanish. Wazag has been translating into French. And Michal Chevchik, sorry, I'm not good at Polish. Chevchik? I'm sorry. Michal, you're great, has been translating things into Polish. That was the newest language that we added. So special thanks to Michal for helping support that language and making sure that people who want to use the site who are Polish speakers can use the site more easily. So those are our community shout outs. And with that, we can go to questions, and I can make other people talk for a while.
I'm sorry to sorry. Good job is
Thanks.
what I mean. Yeah,
I stumbled over only 20% of my words today.
No, it was great. It was great. I thought I was going to come help you, but it was like, oh, you got it. So I let you.
I usually get there eventually. There just might be a little bit of tripping along the way.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
All right.
Pre-submitted questions, or are we going to go chat questions first?
We're going to go to pre-submitted questions. So we go through our pre-submitted questions. We put up a post on our forum asking people to send in our questions. This is our way of trying to make it so if you can't attend the live stream at the time that it's set up, you can still ask us questions and then at least catch it in the VOD. So we're going to go through all those pre-submitted questions first, and then we're going to go back through the chat questions. So if you asked a question in chat that hasn't received an answer yet, hang in there. We're coming back to it. And our first pre-submitted question is from Burb. Isometric grid. Is it possible? Do you guys ever think we can get it?
So it is possible right now, and it works pretty well. There are quite a few different map packs on the marketplace with where it's built already for you, and you don't have to think too much about it. There are some excellent discussion. People saying how they did it, how they made it work. I made sure and went through and I didn't pick any favorites necessarily, but Roll20 Isometric Grid got me up into your search engine of choice, got some really good results and some ways to set that up. And so I'd say, start there for sure. As to and the way that our grids work, they are generated. So it's not like an image that's just loaded. We draw those lines on the canvas when we load the game for hex and for squares. We don't have plans right now to do an isometric, and it's a little bit it's a difficult nut to crack in order to get that to work just right in the ways that feel really good that you can't necessarily get when it's not lying in a table when it's automatically generated is what I mean. So marketplace content is a great place to start because that's trade some money for some time, and it's good to go there. If you don't want to do that, I'd say the guides in the Roll20 wiki or other places are a really good thing to dig into.
Mm-hmm. And I will pull one comment from chat, which is the Aaron saying that they have a make grid script that can be easily modified to create an isometric grid, and they invite Burb to message them. So I guess slide into the Aaron's DMs.
Wait, the Aaron has a script for that already? I'm shocked. Speechless.
Okay. Tattletale asks, oh hey, can you please add more fonts to use on the tabletop? 5 is very limiting. Well, Winget, I think we did.
Yeah, we can go from 5 to hundreds. Coming to the live server soon.
Mm-hmm.
We did add Google Fonts right now for character sheet authors. They have to be added through the character sheet. And so it's not quite as accessible as like just in the drop-down menu right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right,
that's fair.
Right now.
That's a good.
So yeah. So yes, and is really where I'll go. We're interested in seeing what comes out of that and what's the most popular and how we can extend the what you see is WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get editor soon.
That being the text editor that you would use to make like handouts and stuff like that.
Right. Or edit text in your character or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
The same update that made it possible to use them in the character sheet will make it possible to use them other places.
Yeah.
It will make it possible right away, or it will make it possible down the road?
It'll make it possible for us to add them later.
Down the road. Okay.
Yes. That's floor. We did floor 1. We did the ground floor, and then that's floor 3. So we got to build the second floor in between there.
So hang in there, Tattletale.
We could try to build the third floor without the second floor. We could see how it goes.
Who needs a second floor anyway? It's all about that third floor.
Just make it a mezzanine.
Yes. Okay. Findersky asks, what's up with the suggestions forum? Roll20 staff haven't been updating per the schedule they provided a while back. And what does queued actually mean? Kenton, I believe that's you.
Well, yeah, I'll take these. I count 3 questions. What's up with the suggestions form? I want to answer that one first. It's how has it been working over the past year? We've moved 12 suggestions into the completed status for a total of 1,148 votes that were returned back from whence they came. And then this week we put 2 of them in beta testing, 2 more suggestions in beta testing for an additional 200 votes in that amount of time. And so it is not perfect, and that's my fault. I'm sorry.
How dare you not be perfect?
I try really hard to be perfect. Everything
I think my computer lost our connection. We are frozen.
We're good.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, maybe not.
Okay, they can still hear us. It's just my video is screwy. Okay.
Well, at least I've got a smile on my face in the frozen. So
you do. I'm making a kind of funny one, but all right. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Hopefully Zoom will behave again soon.
Speaking of not perfect, the stream. Are we? Yeah, and we're back. Aha! And we're back. There it is.
Yeah. Speaking of not perfect. It's good timing.
We're updated on everything that we talked about being as suggestions approach 200 votes. We're addressing those directly. I am getting better about that. That is something that I am personally working on. We're getting some more team aspects built into it, so it doesn't just rely on one person. But I think that our results, the proof is in the pudding. I think that what our attempt and our striving for perfect is doing some good. I hope Bendersky and others agree. So that's the schedule, and then what does queued actually mean? So there's a state between researching and on dev is what it's called right now, or testing, or and then complete, where we know what we want to do. We know how we're going to do it. We just don't have the people the bandwidth, if you will. And so that's what queued exists for. Is like,
I evidently don't have enough bandwidth for streaming, so I can relate.
I see what I did there. I bump set and then you spiked. Good job.
Thank you.
The meetings for that are listed in the read before stickied posts in the suggestions and ideas. But specifically, feedback is all about the community's opportunity to add votes and to add some nuance to the suggestion, and to talk about what would be great about it, or don't forget this, or if you're going to do that, it would be helpful to do the other. Researching is that we're looking into it. We're trying to dig into how this will work best and test those theories. Obstructed means that there are some things that need to be done before we can tackle that. Not now is a good idea, but not on our radar for one or more reasons. Queued means that we're making plans, writing code, and we have a rough timeline for its release. So that's when it actually starts to get into a development process, but that doesn't mean someone's writing code necessarily. I guess English is a code, and most of the time plans and research are written in English. So
I code all the time. Then I'm an expert, and I never knew.
Yeah. No, you're fluent in English.
I am.
On dev is pro users are invited to test over on the dev server, and then completed means that it's launched and publicly available. So those are things. We do have 2 special options, which are API and character sheets. Because the API and the character sheet development community is smaller than the community at large, we go through and make sure that those kinds of suggestions have a little bit more room to breathe. And I'll say that this plan is a living document, right? Like we're always trying to improve the way that this happens. And like I said, I dream about the community. This is all about making sure that the community is heard, and we develop towards our users and our customers.
I dream about cookies, but then I wake up and I work towards creating things with my conscious mind for the community.
Is our community not made out of cookies?
I hope not, because I just want to eat the cookies, and that would not be healthy for our community.
I usually wake up and work while eating cookies.
Oh,
that's a good way to do it.
That's the best.
How do you type with 2 cookies in your hands, moving towards your mouth? Do you have like one of those clips, the hat with clips on it that has cookies that you can like reach over and bite?
I mean, if he's typing, he doesn't
Cookie
need
hat.
to. He doesn't need to talk, right? So you can just put the cookie here.
That's basically just how do you type with boxing gloves on? And, yeah, I do it. It works. Don't question it.
Fair enough, strong bad. All right. Hopefully that answers Finderski's question. So let's move on to a question from Peter. Is it possible to get an update which allows us to resize nameplates on tokens?
This is a good question. There's a lot of this that's built into the way that the grid works. And right now, all of our graphics development resources are going into the dynamic lighting update. And even some of our non-graphics resources are going into that to get it ready for everyone. So it is possible, Peter. And I hope to have more news in a different roundtable for you that will make you happy.
I think it'll make a lot of people happy.
I don't mean to be cryptic in that. What I mean is, we'd love to make that better. I know that it's been something that people have wanted for a while with the scaling and how that's changed. So we'll solve one problem, then we'll look at solving others.
We're building another first floor of the house.
Right. So many houses.
We have so many first floors on this house.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's more of a mall, really, and we're going to add the second floor of the mall soon.
Yeah.
We're shooting to outpace the Mall of America. That's the goal.
All the first floors.
Yeah, I think it might be the Mall of America might be the second largest mall in the world now. I think there's a Dutch mall that took the prize. I'm from Minnesota. Can you tell?
Oh, I see the swell of pride when you talk about the Mall of America, and so I believe that you're from Minnesota. Yeah.
Can you detect the shame that lurks beneath? No shame in Minnesota, but some shame for the Mall of America. There's Legoland, though. It can't be all bad. All right. David wants to know, are there any plans to allow custom entries into the compendium by the GM, meaning classes, monsters, subclasses, items, etc.?
This is another one of those that is on the radar. We're actively doing research into this, how we can do this effectively. We've been doing that for a while, and actually Winget is hot on the heels of some technical research and requirements gathering for that. So we want to do that. The difficulty.
Let me interrupt you just to ask, Winget, when you are doing that kind of like investigation, do you have a bubble pipe and a Sherlock Holmes hat? And cookies?
I mean, I have several hats here. It's just whatever the mood strikes when I'm doing that.
Sometimes it's a clown wig.
I mean,
Sometimes we all wear the clown wig.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sorry, Kenton, I interrupted you mid-sentence because I had to make a joke, which is definitely something that chat wanted me to do.
No, the joke was going to be better than whatever sentence I think I had. I don't even remember where I was going with that.
The long and short of it is Winget is doing some research into that area right now.
So yeah, several people are. Our compendium is rife for expansion. So
yeah. I'd love to hear that. Next question is from Anonymous. Will Spanish language be boosted? And as a unrelated note, they also want to ask why they cannot use the feat human button on the character mancer. To which the answer is feats are not yet supported on the Roll20 character mancer for D&D. Not yet, but maybe one day. As for internalized, what were you going to say about before I cut you off again? This time, not for a joke, Kenton.
I was going to say something along the lines of we are always interested in getting internationalization into the application. I'm not sure where this anonymous question asker was asking about the Spanish language. being boosted. We talked about our translators up above. If you want to volunteer to do that, the Roll20 help desk has a lot of information on how to get into that. So if you are able to translate into other languages and are interested in making that happen for a language that you're fluent in, awesome.
We love it, and maybe we can shout you out on one of these.
Please, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. The caveat to that is internationalization on licensed products is difficult because that deals with international intellectual property law, and that was developed for things like dead trees and printing presses, and not necessarily for digital products that can be shipped around the globe. So spider webs are all
Story of my life. Always being held back by the laws meant for physical media.
International intellectual property strikes again.
Gravity is technically a law for physical media, the media being my body and my dream being of flying.
All my books obey gravity too. So
well, that's true. Bunny points out we also have some great Spotlight creators that play games in Roll20 on Roll20 in Spanish. So check out the Roll20 Spotlight. You'll find at least a couple that are playing in Spanish. I think one of them's on Thursday night. Anyway.
Yeah.
So then Mark and Dynamics, these are two different people who happen to ask the same question. So we put them in together. Mark and Dynamics both ask, when are we going to start seeing Paizo Pathfinder 2nd Edition APs? I don't know why this says D&D 5e. When are we going to find Pathfinder 2nd Edition APs? Any developments on Pathfinder 2nd Edition module or adventure path releases on Roll20? So we are going to have a Pathfinder 2nd Edition AP this year. We also have the Fall of Plagstone model ready to go. It was released back in October. So there's definitely a 2nd Edition AP coming this year. We also have some other Pathfinder 2nd Edition products that may be on the horizon.
Cool.
Yeah, I think they asked some questions about sheets too. No, that's later. Sorry, that's later. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. There's definitely going to be another adventure path this year, and we'll keep you tuned. We'll keep you posted as soon as we can about what that's going to be. Mr. Flarlops asks, when are folders for pages due? Kenton, you and I talked about that recently.
We do. We talk about that a lot. We don't have a timeline yet. The page menu is going to see improvement in a progressive style, though. So as you see updates to the page menu and you don't have ways to organize pages, don't worry. That's a good thing. It means that that organization is close on its way.
Building another first floor.
Yes. We're building the second floor to the third floor. Man, we're doing that a lot. So, yeah.
If there's one thing that we are good at, it is not torturing metaphors.
Yeah, we usually just murder them straight away.
Straight up, yeah.
There's no torture involved.
And, as soon as you build the second floor, then you got to build the escalator. And,
that's right.
It's always
just
the whole thing.
Project just gets bigger and bigger. Scope. All right. Josiah asks, is there any plan on incorporating Sirenscape into Roll20?
Not at this time, but I'd encourage you to look at all the audio offerings we have right now from Tabletop Audio, BattleBards, and Compotech. All of those are incorporated into Roll20 already. There's also the ability to upload your own audio tracks. So if you have those, you can put those in and play them from the jukebox.
And there's some real good stuff in the catalogs from Tabletop Audio, BattleBards, and Compotech. I feel people overlook that a lot, but I lean on them very heavily.
I exclusively I even subscribe to a couple different places that provide what do you call that, environmental audio or
RPG session music.
Yeah, stuff like that.
I mean, that's not the term, but that is effectively what we're doing.
It is now. Yeah.
Okay.
I like the stuff that's on there already, and it's ready to go and easy to drop in.
Okay. So yeah, check out those music options. Anion D, whose name has come up before, and I feel like I always pronounce it a different way every single time. But they ask, when is the Dungeon Master's Guide or Sword Coats Adventurer's Guide, which gets abbreviated to SWAG, which I love. When are these going to be released? This year. We are going to catch up on our backlog, our D&D back catalog this year, so stay tuned. That's all I can say about it for now, but they are coming, and they are coming soon. All right. This is the last of the pre-submitted questions. It's from Mylorn. How many people are working on the PF2 releases? Why are the updates for PF2 sheet so slow? Kenton, sounds like you want to go into that a little.
I was just inhaling, but if you want to dig in.
No, I can actually talk about that one. I mean, Pathfinder 2nd Edition is a new system, so we're still building out our infrastructure to support us. It took us a while, for example, to get day and date with new D&D releases, and we're still catching up on that front. We do have an advantage with Pathfinder 2nd Edition in that we started day and date with it, but also Paizo is prolific and makes stuff all the time. With that said, we've released a bunch of features. Mylorn had asked about drag and drop specifically, and drag and drop for NPCs and spells have been implemented already. We're also constantly doing bug fixes and quality of life improvements. Those things don't get as much, like flash and pizzazz, but you can see them on our updates, and I think we've done 2 updates. Yeah, we've done 2 updates to the Pathfinder sheet, Pathfinder 2nd Edition sheet every month since it came out. So we've been doing a lot since launch. I hope we catch up to where Mylorn wants us to be. They also mentioned that they want a character mancer. So do we. Pathfinder 2nd Edition is a complicated system, even though compared to Pathfinder 1st Edition, it has been simplified somewhat. But character mancers generally are complicated. Pathfinder 2nd Edition is also complicated. We are working on it. We do want to have that for you as well. But I don't have an update for you yet. All right.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Aw, shucks. Thanks, Kenton. Okay, so that's it for the pre-submitted questions. And that brings us to chat questions. All right, so I'm going to go back and find some of the ones that we had a while ago. It looks like our friends and fellow staff members have been. Oh no, hang on, there we go. Our friends and fellow staff members have been answering a lot of these questions as they came up. So if you had a question in chat that was already answered in chat, hopefully you feel satisfied with that answer. If not, I suppose repeat it and we'll try to get on that with you. But let's see. The first one is, are you planning on having any V5, version 5, or World of Darkness rules integration like these other products that we've mentioned? Unfortunately, I can't speak to any specific licensing deals that haven't been announced, but if there is a game that you would like to see on Roll20, please make sure you let the publishers of that game know, because that really helps if, both sides are interested and they come to us and we go to them and everybody is a happy family. So if there's a system that you want to see, reach out to the publishers and ask them about, hey, are you interested in Roll20 support? Let's see. What?
I see one from Dave in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Could you talk a bit more about the dynamic lighting update?
I could.
You could? Oh my God. Well, please do.
It is. It's looking good. We're fast approaching a beta phase where we'll be able to release it to pro subscribers in various formats. There are some interesting challenges. It's going to be a great story for when we successfully launch this thing. I'm super excited for it. The way, there's a bunch of stuff that had been eluding what we were trying to do. And, today I was going through the suggestions and ideas, and there are several that are just like waiting, now that we've done this, we'll be ready to add in a shader to handle that thing that you want. So that's going to be a lot of fun to get those out of the way and to do those.
Not to poke a bear with a stick, but my understanding is that the weather layer is something that has had to be postponed until we get that implemented. But that's another. I think that's the most requested thing on the suggestions forum.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people want that overhead layer, and I count myself among them. So dynamic lighting update is going to be the next thing there. So,
yeah. And if you checked out that at the very beginning of this stream, I mentioned if you looked at our blog post about what's coming up in 2020, that was one of the things that we talked about, both that dynamic lighting is coming and that once the dynamic lighting is finished, we can go look at the weather layer.
There are many, and not just the weather layer. I know that that's the most popular, so we cover the most, but I think that there's 4, if I'm doing math quickly in my head, on a stream in front of people, so that's no pressure there. I think
13,
that there are
17, 52.
Equal numbers of votes for about 4 or 5 other ideas that equal the weather layer at the same time. So there's a bunch of stuff that'll allow us to do, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to invest this time and these resources into the newer technology, and because we could do these things that we couldn't before. So
yeah, so thanks for sticking it out with us. Daddy Warbucks wants to know, is there a directory or web listing of those in the Spotlight program? No, but what you can do is you can go on Twitter and search the hashtag Roll20 Spotlight, and all of our creators that are part of Spotlight tweet under that hashtag regularly. We tweet about them under that hashtag regularly. So go there and look for what I hope will be a handy list of Spotlight creators that you can connect with. Keith Curtis wants to know, when will the token bar enhancements introduced last year become available to the API?
I don't have a date yet. I will say that those enhancements and more enhancements, more and better enhancements to the API as a whole are coming with some infrastructural updates to the API or soon after those updates. Winget, do you want to say anything more about that?
There's I don't really have much to say other than we need to work on some infrastructure things, and then it'll be a lot easier to add in support for some of these things that have kind of
a big piece of what we're working on internally and kind of behind the scenes are ways to, in the same, the character sheet sandbox came from a desire to give better internal tools to our developers, the people who are developing our existing, our internal sheets. We're making sure that we don't forget to develop our own tools in that way and our own tool set, because every time we make our tools better, we make more features, and we make those features better, and we can add to the API faster, and the list goes on. So
I feel like that sets us up to also address the next question on my list, which is from Sefner, asking about whether Roll20 is considered offering some of the features that there are some extensions that people use with Roll20, and have we considered basically bringing those in-house?
Yeah, there are yes, there are extensions. Yes, those are features that there are several features within the quality of life aspects that we want to provide. There is a benefit to putting out free software on the internet and letting people who want to use it, in that you don't you're not beholden to anyone. There's you can choose to do it, and if people don't like it, then they don't have to do it anymore. We like to take a more methodical approach, and also, as I said, the tools that we're using to develop those, the tools that we use to develop Roll20 are improving to make those kinds of enhancements faster and more accessible as well.
Yeah, I imagine that'll be more stable as well. There are a lot of things that we find kind of like once the rubber hits the road, like the original Zoom tool, that what looked fine on my personal computer might not be as good on somebody else's computer, and putting it through that thorough dev testing makes it more accessible, more stable, more reliable.
One of those tools that we're developing are include researching how our users use things. Roll20 being heavily community involved, or having lots of community involvement, people have found ways to use the tool that are different than what we expected, or what was expected, early on in the long ago. And so we're being much more careful. And with the Zoom tool coming back out, it was changed to make sure that it wasn't infringing on anyone's personal choices in that way. The extensions that exist allow that at the same time, but we don't want to bake that into the code without some good research.
Totally. Then I have a question for Winget that is from someone going by Solar Swordsman, who is definitely not your coworker, Jeff, who wants to know what's that cool picture behind you, Winget?
Yeah, that's actually I know through a family member one of the concept artists that worked on Narnia movies, among other things, and this is a piece of concept art from one of those movies.
That's so cool.
That I had him sign for me.
Reepicheep, right?
It is, yes.
I didn't know that from look. You told me that one time, and I remembered.
I probably did.
I listen when you talk, Winget.
I feel heard.
Good.
So, and then we do have a couple of people asking about Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I did talk about this earlier, but people missed it, and that's totally fine. So I'm going to go back to it and say, Pathfinder 2nd Edition Adventure Paths, are we getting versions? So yes, we are. I can't give you information yet about which one, although the person asking this is a Spotlight creator. So we understand that you want to stream it, and we are keeping that in mind. And we appreciate you, and we are going to give you more adventure paths. We're going to give you other resources as well for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, so please hang in there for that. Hopefully we can make you happy. Okay, and then the last question. Anda9 asks, will it be possible in the future to set the video and voice chattings from one single place, like how the Zoom tool now works?
I think that's a great idea.
I do too, actually.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the first person I saw who mentioned it, but I'll credit from now on Anda9 with that idea. And I think it's good. I think it's a good idea.
All right. Well then, Anda9, all the credit. Anda9 also created Roll20 and made Minecraft. That's my understanding.
For all we know.
For all we know. Okay, so that is it for the questions that I'm seeing. Oh, Keith Curtis wants to know if we can set video and voice chat to opt in instead of opt out.
I'm hesitant to change the way that things work, but letting a user change it one time for themselves would be an amazing way to do it.
I have some ideas there, Kenton.
Oh yeah. I mean, we can. You have access to my calendar. Put a meeting on that. Yeah.
I love going into Kenton's calendar and putting in meetings that don't mean anything. The snack time meeting.
It's great. It's super great.
And then Rin Ritter, sorry friend if I'm not correctly guessing how to say that, says, I saw a feature with dynamic lighting from another VTT that used a single line that wouldn't block sight, but there were two lines that did block sight from. Is that something we can expect dynamic lighting to do in the future, like for bushes and trees?
I'm not quite sure.
I think that means like partially obstructed lighting or perhaps one-way lighting, like windows.
So that there's a suggestion in suggestions ideas that I really like. One of the ones that we can get to with the new dynamic lighting update, that it's called one-way dynamic lighting. I like it from the standpoint of being able to see, like, I want to be able to see the tree but not past the tree, and so that's what, like, a one-way look into that. And there are, I think I got tripped up on the one line versus two lines. But there's a whole bunch, like, it's a whole world of stuff that we can do, and we intend on doing a lot of it.
Hip hooray for the powers of WebGL lighting. All right. So that is the last question that I'm seeing here. Thank you all for coming and attending. Thank you, Winget, for being our special guest today and introducing the custom sheet sandbox.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
And for showing off your very cool Narnia art. So yeah, we're going to wrap now. This VOD will be posted to YouTube in the next couple of days, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you all for your questions, and we'll see you next month. Bye-bye.
Oh, wait, are we going to do pets?
Oh, yes, thank you. Okay,
prepared for this.
We have a very special pet today. Kenton, can you show our very special pet?
I had to like prepare, but this is my 6-year-old redfoot tortoise. She pooped and peed like crazy in the little place where she's been sitting for a little bit. I put her on a heating pad. I'll hold her up again. Put her on a heating pad to make sure that she would stay warm. But yeah.
What is her name, Kenton?
I call her Wally, but she's not actually mine. She's my kid's. But Waller is her name. That's a long story.
We also send a spiritual shout out to Winget Snake, who lives in another room but is here with us in spirit.
You just didn't give me enough notice. You told me earlier today. Would have had my snake ready for the.
I didn't think of it until Kenton showed up with a tortoise.
It's taken me 4 months. My other pets are chickens, so
next time.
Next time.
they will poop and pee even more in whatever container you put them in.
And I was worried that Waller was making enough noise, like scratching around, that it would be picked up by my mic. The chickens would make more noise in like very agitated tones while waiting for their turn. So, yeah.
Do we want fluffies? Yay or nay? Because I feel like I kind of want Wally to have this to herself.
We got scales. We might as we could do
scales and birds.
She doesn't speak English. She has no clue what I'm talking about.
So she won't feel her thunder is stolen. No. All right. Have some fluffies, if only because they just got baths last week, and so they're extra fluffy.
I like how they always look up like, what are you doing? What's going on? I don't understand.
It's also dinner time.
We're hungry.
They're so hungry. I never feed them. All right, so we have mammals, we have reptiles. We had a good time. Thank you again, everyone, for coming to this, and we will see you next month.
Bye.